specify.
Oh, that's right. You didn't even notice. I just walked in and I was like, oh yeah, my cat puked on your floor. All right. Hello, and welcome to Press F to Discuss, a podcast where we play video games and then talk about them for way too long. I'm Matthew.
I'm Jared.
I'm Lollie.
Today we're going to be talking about Oxenfree, which is a 2016 supernatural adventure game. What are you laughing about?
Nothing.
What's funny to you?
I feel like we always start with these
I feel like we're in a time loop right now. I feel like we've definitely done this intro before.
This before? Yeah.
Hint to our dear one listener.
I'm the listener, right?
Yeah. We have never gotten a podcast right the first time out.
Look.
At least by the time that we're an established, well listened to, with a large user base, we'll have our shit together.
Yeah.
And then our library of episodes will be so huge that no one's ever going to listen to the first 200 episodes.
As everyone does with a podcast. Mm-hmm. Oh God. Anyway,
we're so ready.
Tell me about Oxenfree.
So it was released by Night School Studio, indie dev team. They published it themselves as well, and it tells the story of five. Yeah, it's five. 5 teens that go to an island to have a night of high school, teenage, shenanigans. Don't call it that.
Don't judge my lifestyle.
Stop trying to make shenanigans a word.
It's definitely a thing.
I'm trying to think
is absolutely not a thing.
How Ren described it. Because he had a special phrasing for all of the unholy things that they were going to be doing.
I mean, for him it was just weed. That was Ren.
Yeah. He didn't expect unholy to mean possessed by a ghost hive mind.
Which leads into what the supernatural element of Oxenfree is, which is that they're totally ghosts.
There's some fucking ghosts. Some kind of space-time ghosts.
On this island, and our heroes are stuck there dealing with all of the emotional baggage of being teenagers and also ghosts.
Yes, and there's some sort of internal metaphor there.
Well, actually, I was talking to my friend yesterday. I'm like, that every Winnie the Pooh character represents a mental illness crackpot theory. Each of the 5 kids represents another stage of grief.
Ooh.
All right, so there's Ren, who is denial. Because he just spends his entire time getting high, trying to avoid the fact that, they're fucking possessed by demons and ghosts and shit. Clarissa's anger, because she's Clarissa. And any amount of words that come out of her mouth, you just, she's very angry. Alex is bargaining because you literally can bring her brother back. And she's the one who strikes the deal, potentially, with the ghosts to sacrifice Clarissa. Jonas is depression because he's the most muted. I don't know. He's
he's got the depression beanie.
Yeah, he's got the depression beanie. And then there's Nona. She's acceptance because she's the most chillest.
She's the most well balanced.
And I don't know. It works in that you need at least 1 or 2 characters to completely just make it seem like you're throwing everything at the wall and make it stick. Yeah. So that's my theory.
I mean, that's a theory, all right.
Should we maybe back up a step and explain things proper, or
I think we did a great job when we said
I think that's the entire game right there.
Teens, ghosts, and an island. So what did you think of Oxenfree, Jared?
This was your first foray into...
Yeah, so I was the only one who hadn't played this before. And it's interesting. It's really good. I was I was more sold on a craft level than an emotional level in the first third, maybe. During the... before all the paranormal shenanigans happen. And then it starts getting weird in this really neat way. There's you were talking about Telltale games earlier, and I think it's neat because it's kind of like that, but not really. I think I had this thought very early on when I was playing it. I'm like, man, this dialogue structure is really what it's like to be a teen. Because there's so much important conversations that are on the verge of happening all the time that are constantly cut off by new things happening, right. Or just random shit.
Yeah, people get interrupted.
Yeah, and the fact that your ability to make choices in dialogue reflects that. So basically the way it works is while it's not a big deal. not a big like make a choice, but like incidentally while you're having conversations, your character Alex will sometimes like pop up dialogue bubbles that like have different reactions to the situation, and like they only last like maybe 5 seconds.
Yeah,
so
it's extremely naturalistic timing.
yeah, so you have to like act on it. You can't think about it. And also, you can choose to say nothing by just not picking an option.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to do my say nothing playthrough, and I'm like,
Can you really do that?
yeah,
You can play the entire game. Well, I mean, you still say certain things that are like scripted. But...
No, I mean there are some certain scripted parts, but there's only one moment at the end of the game where you have to
pick a dialogue.
You have to pick a dialogue box. But other than that, you have to go through the entire game without touching the square, triangle, or circle buttons.
Yeah.
If you're on PlayStation, if you're on Xbox, I don't know what those buttons are.
That's great.
It's. What were you saying?
Well, I was just saying because you were comparing it to Telltale, and I don't think that's necessarily the same thing.
Well, so I think it's Telltale, but I think it's Telltale done in a way that actually forces the player not to game the system.
Sure.
It's Telltale, but I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily say the consequences are different, but it's just that you don't have a chance to like really think things over. You just got to go with your gut.
I think it's games that have dialogue choices, especially Telltale games, fall into this whole thing where like they're just like kind of corralling you into like 3 different endings anyway. So like how much of an impact does your dialogue really have? Same thing with Firewatch, where like, you know, it's mostly for flavor reasons. It really doesn't have any impact on the game itself. But I think Oxenfree does it the best because, yes, it doesn't really pose huge game-changing, you know, changes. But at the same time, because it's always like a conversation between the characters, you can, you know, have different interactions with them and see different facets of each character.
I think what it is that it recognizes the scale on which it exists, right? So all of your decisions are really, they boil, I mean, besides like key game ones and there are like maybe 2 or 3 of those, most of your decisions come down to like, what am I going to say in this relatively trivial conversation with my friend? Like it could just be like, should I make a note that he's like crushing on this girl? Should I
slap him?
Yeah, should I slap him?
Benjamin Spankler.
Should I share a cigarette with my new stepbrother? Like these things ultimately don't really matter. And the fact that it sets those stakes up very clearly to say, like, not that they don't matter, but that, like, this is just...
It's just another thing that happens.
Right. And you can direct that as you see fit.
And I think in the context of the ending, it definitely, like, the whole idea of futility of choice, that no matter what, your choices, do they really matter? Or are you going to be stuck in an endless loop, trapped on an island with ghosts for all eternity?
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really great example of... I don't know, what's the opposite of ludonarrative dissonance?
Right, well, it's graceful. So there's 2 mechanics in the game, right? There's picking dialogue and tuning your radio.
Yes.
And that's...
Well, there's 3. Picking dialogue, tuning the radio, and then spinning those little tape players.
Oh, yes. Also,
yeah, my favorite.
And
those, like, it, like, stresses me out to hear that music for some reason.
Like, for what it's worth, like, I think it is really, like... You know, without digging into, like, plot specifics too much, just the general way it presents choices. Like, I'm sure I've mentioned on this podcast before my general grievances with, like, big, like, huge choices in games and, like, how overwrought they are. Like, Mass Effect style, like...
Me revving up to do Life is Strange because I feel you there.
Yeah. Whereas, like... Or a Telltale game. Like, Telltale games are the more obvious... comparison where like it's always like, here's the big choice, do you like save this person getting killed by a zombie or this person getting killed by a zombie? And it's like always like every choice matters, but not that many choices actually matter that much.
Yeah, because it's a limitation of like what you can reasonably develop.
To use an example, I'm assuming all of us here have played like the first season of Walking Dead.
Yeah.
All right. So
really?
I mean, you have.
I played it. Did you?
I mean, the first episode. Did you guys play all of them, or should I not?
I haven't started season 2.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I played the first season a while ago.
So you have, you know, in the first or second episode, you save either not Lily.
Yeah, you save
the reporter or the guy who's like blocking off the door, and then Lily
Nobody
ends up,
saves the guy.
Yeah, no one saves the guy. But
like
if you do,
15%.
either way, they get killed like 2 episodes later by Lily in an event that you can't change.
Sure.
Right.
And my point just being like, I think it's interesting that like it's frustrating to feel like you're promised the world and then like your choices don't matter that much. But Oxenfree is just like yeah, here's some choices. We're never going to tell you that they're big or important.
Right.
And like they're structured in a way that's like more natural and human because like many video games have like big choices that you can't go back from. Like it irrevocably like makes you a friend of one person or the other. But like there's a sequence you get to a radio tower at one point and you have to choose someone to go with you and everyone's like fighting, and so like whoever you pick, like the other person gets pissed off. You can either go with Ren or Jonas,
or you can go with Nona.
And piss both of them
in my
off.
3 playthroughs, I think I've gone with Nona every single
I
time.
went with Nona my first time, and then I went with Ren my second time. So I was like, I spent all this time with Jonas already, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So they get mad at you for that, and it feels like a big decision that would be like a big breaking point in any other game. But then, like later, you can just have a normal conversation with Jonas or whoever,
and it's not normal in the sense that like it didn't happen. But he's like, yeah, like I was kind of like pissed off that you did that.
Yeah,
and it's just.
But he's like, yeah, but we can put this past us because like.
And I guess it kind of brings you back to the idea of like the futility of having choice in video games. Where, like, big games like, Life is Strange and Walking Dead, they present these huge game-changing choices that ultimately you get shoehorned into, the preset endings anyway.
Sure.
Whereas with Oxenfree, there is that idea of a loop. And yes, maybe your actions don't have any, major costs in the stake of the huge, like, meta game. But it makes your playthrough personal to yourself, and then any subsequent playthroughs. Like, you can, so many different ways that you can end the game. You can end up with friends or enemies with all the characters. You can bring a character back from the dead. That character can either be with their ex-girl, or be with their girlfriend, or be separated.
Oh, yeah, so so you can bring, what is his name?
Michael.
You can bring Michael back from the dead?
Yeah, I did actually, like, accidentally my first time.
How do you do that?
You convince him to not leave.
Which I didn't even choose. Like, I didn't even ask him not to leave. I just didn't say anything when he asked me what I wanted to do. Because like I was genuinely conflicted. I was like, I don't want to tell you what to do with your life, man.
Are there like extenuating like consequences to that?
Well,
he goes on the trip with you.
Yeah, so he goes instead of taking like the one last trip where he teaches you how to swim.
Yeah.
Which is what causes him to drown. Instead, it's you mean but extending circumstances in the game. It changes the ending, and it also colors like the ending of what does this loop represent.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about loops a little bit. We should probably like clarify. So one of the ways that things start to go weird in Oxenfree is that characters start to experience things and then like experience them over and over again. Like they get stuck in these mini loops, during which they might be like possessed by a ghost, or they may be like alone and everybody else is possessed by a ghost.
Yeah.
Any variation.
Right. And so to get out of them, it depends. Usually it's a matter of either like appeasing the ghosts, or you find these like tape recorders that you can fiddle with. And on one hand, it part of it, I think initially like my reaction to it was like, oh, this is just like doing like the nostalgia trip. Like, remember what VHSs used to be like? Because it gets like the weird like fizzy screen and all that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of visual and audio glitches that occur during these.
Right, because it's very much a game about like technology, and you got the radio that you use to tap into this.
There's a great line about how all the technology on the island is somehow like incredibly like far in the past and also very far in the future.
Right.
That was funny.
I guess like, and also to explain like the whole temporal loop thing or whatever, you also have to talk about the ghosts that are causing it. So it's a hive mind of ghosts who call themselves the Sunken.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Reddit.
Well, no, it's actually a line.
I know. No,
yeah.
I know.
But I'm doing a refresher. But they were 97 people aboard the USS Kanaloa, including 85 officers, 12 Army passengers, whatever. It was sunk by friendly fire in 1943, causing the experimental nuclear reactor contained within its hull to implode, sending 97 crew members to their deaths. And then through that, they are caught in
like this temporal rift.
Yes, where they are, they describe themselves as atoms wilting. They've seen the death of the universe infinite amount of times. They've forgotten their names, their faces. They've become one being that exists outside of time, fueled by their anger and fear, and they want to be alive again.
Right, so they're basically stuck in the macro version of what the teens are experiencing, where it's just like everything is constantly looping and they exist like outside of time.
Yeah.
And they've like literally experienced every instance of reality that there is to have experienced.
Yeah, and that kind of translates to some interesting gameplay stuff, like doing the same thing over and over again.
Gameplay stuff and some really interesting narrative stuff, right? Because like we were talking about how this game is a lot about grief. Because like a lot of the angst that comes from when you're all on the island is you, the player character, your brother died in an accident that you were not responsible for, but you know he was with you at the time.
Yes, and also like quick aside, props to the game for never once having a voiceover where your character's like, my brother died, and like it actually
it had a natural way that it came out.
Yes,
because Clarissa was just like, yeah, like. You're the reason your brother's dead in the Truth or Dare game.
Yeah.
And it's just brutal. And so you're there with your brother's ex who believes you're responsible for his death.
It actually can come up a little bit sooner.
Can you?
Yeah, if you stay and have a conversation with Jonas.
Right, that's
it's
right.
Just like, I didn't set up your room. It was Michael's.
Right.
Which also, they never explicitly say that he's dead at that point, but it does flow naturally because Jonas is like, oh fuck.
Yeah, and so everybody in the game, even if they don't really have a direct connection to Michael, like Nona and Ren don't really, like everything is filtered through that like experience of like what does it mean to be a friend who's lost somebody like this.
Sure.
Because like Jonas is in this weird position where he's like literally your new stepbrother and he's got
his mother also recently died as well.
Right, that's right. And that's why his dad married his dad married
Yeah, the mom, Alex's mom. The only character that has not explicitly lost anyone was Ren. They never bring up a relative of his.
That's right, because Nona too.
Nona is like, when you first see her, when you and Jonas walk up, she starts like freaking out, like, don't stop saying crazy shit about my grandfather, whatever. So
when you first run into her, like when everything's gone wrong. Mm-hmm. She doesn't just start freaking out at you. She's a very chill. She might be my favorite.
She's acceptance.
Yeah.
It feels like a stretch.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point of, crackpot theories. It has to be a bit of a stretch. That's what makes them true.
Look, I believe it for Majora's Mask. I'm not sure I believe it for... but yeah. It's... So I have a sweet spot, I guess, for this kind of... Would you call it horror? Like it first?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's like the Stranger Things. It's very Stranger Things, I feel like.
Kind of.
Not just in like the retro horror, but in like that horror supernatural that's a metaphor for like teenage anxiety.
Sure. Yeah, I see that. But I think the actual flavor of the horror itself is more weird than anything going on in Stranger Things.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I haven't seen Stranger Things also. So.
Yeah.
I gotta say, God, this is gonna get fucking personal as shit, but the game definitely has a very sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
So it was announced to come out for the PlayStation for literally 2 days before my grandmother died.
Oh, jeez.
And then came out like a month later, almost to the day since, her passing or whatever. I was like in the, darkest part of my life,
Sure.
whatever, hit rock bottom. It was not a good time. And Oxenfree came out, and I was like, you know what? I've been looking forward to this game since fucking summer of 2015. I'm gonna, get out of bed and actually play a game for the first time, whatever. And then I start playing it, and it's all these characters coming to terms with, like, losing someone. And I don't know, all the characters I connected to on some level, because there's Alex who, has survivor's guilt. What could I have done better? How could I have changed things? Clarissa, who is ragey. And then there is Jonas, who's kind of like I said, he's the more muted of all of them. Situationally, I relate it to him the most because my grandmother passed from Alzheimer's. His mother passed from cancer. Both of them are, degenerative.
Right.
He had to watch that. And then he then had to, uproot his life and move in with Alex's family. the day of my grandmother's death also coincided with the day I had to move out of our house.
Right.
That we had together. So, like, with that, I, like, really resonated.
Yeah.
And I feel like Night School did a really good job of representing that. And, like, those characters, like, with all three of them, like, you know, I could see myself in.
Sure, they're all like believable representations of like just
Grief.
but also just teens trying to like do
Yeah.
the damn thing,
Yeah.
Like,
survive.
yeah, dealing with forces that are bigger than them. Both, you know, ghosts trying to possess them and steal their bodies, and also what happens after someone you love dies and you're left behind.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's why I love the core interplay of the narrative and the gameplay, right? Where it's like the metaphor is like how do you get out of these loops of grief where you're just kind of like moving, you know, you're just barely treading water, and you're just like stuck with these emotions that are like rage or depression or what have you. How do you actually like break out of that? And interestingly, I don't know if the game ultimately has a hopeful answer per se.
Well, that's what I thought was weird because it seemed like a strange like. So the fact that like so there's like mini loops like in the game where you're running in circles, but there's also the meta loop of the whole game repeats over and over again.
Right.
And I just like I think that was kind of a weird moment for me, just because like it doesn't gel with like it's too rigid an ending for like the variety of ways that you can shake things up and like.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the ending a lot.
I mean, I think it's neat, but also like everyone manages to move past their stuff, but then they're just trapped anyway because.
Right. That's yeah.
That's something that I've been trying to like gel with like since I finished it, just because like in, you know, replaying the game, I'm revisiting and I can, you know, analyze how I felt a year ago playing this game compared to like where I am now with, you know, everything that I've overcome with grief, whatever. And I feel like the ghosts are a good like metaphor for what happens. Like we were talking about it when I first came in, Matt, when Alec is like, let go of your anger, this, that, like, you know, you have to move on. The ghosts are the embodiment of, you know, that pain, that rage that builds up when you refuse to just move on with your life and accept the futility of death.
Yeah, and that's why Jared, I see what you're saying, where it's like, so like, does Alex get it ultimately or not? And like, my inclination is that she gets it, but also that she might still be stuck, which.
Well, but it's not just her, right? It's like everyone, like.
No, not necessarily.
I mean, like,
because I think the idea was that she could sacrifice herself to the rift.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And then like it's just that instance of her is running with those like vestiges of them, but it's not.
Instead, it's instead of sacrificing Clarissa, Alex stays behind and closes the rift.
Right, but I thought she didn't have to make that sacrifice because she talks the ghost down.
She doesn't talk the ghost down. She closes the rift. I think the only way you get out is if you walk through that portal that they open, therefore sacrificing Clarissa. I haven't done that ending yet.
Oh, okay.
But she ends up living the island and every variation of it the same way the ghosts have been living every variation of the universe.
Sure,
They kind of say it to her that, like, you'll be stuck here with us and suffering with us the same way we have.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I mean, like I said, it seems a little bit of a downer, given what I think was, like, an otherwise, like, kind of hopeful set of messages, but also I feel like it's, like, realistic, because in some ways I think that is how people deal with grief, is sometimes you feel like you've, like, got a handle on it, and you figured it out, and you realize, like, maybe you are still actually just stuck in the same place, which is, like, you know, depressing as hell to think about, but I think it's also, like, real.
Right.
I mean, I wrote a fucking 6-page, like, not essay, pretty much, like, you know, all of the thoughts and feelings that I've had on this game that I've never put into words. I wrote out last night. I was planning on putting it up possibly when this goes up, but I describe it as grief is sort of like a tide the best you can do is just keep on treading and learn to swim, which, ironic in Alex's case.
Yeah.
But you'll swim and you'll get comfortable and whatever, and then it's at that moment that it'll sweep yourself, back in.
Yeah, that's
and
what
you have to try your best not to flounder. Otherwise, you just get sucked into it more and more until you are, time and reality gap.
Yeah.
That's just changing everything and trying to possess children.
Right.
And I don't know. And I also think there's like an interpretation of it where it's like if you go back and you do rescue Michael, which kind of undercuts the idea of the game.
Well, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, which is like, so do you truly lose him then? But I feel like my interpretation of that is not that like you literally resurrected Michael. I mean, maybe you did within the game. It's a little fuzzy. But rather it represents like the idea that you can find peace in moments that did exist. I mean, in Michael's case, it didn't like actually exist, but...
Well, I mean, but that's true in any ending, even where Michael doesn't come back. Like, because like, those are like the best scenes in the game where you're like flashing back basically to hanging out with Michael and everything's like quiet and stuff like that. And Alex is basically like just trying to like soak it in.
Right.
Or at least that's how I played her. Like,
yeah, no, that's what I did.
And there's this moment that I'm thinking of since I just played it before I got here, where it's in that last one where you're in Alex and Michael's home, and at the end, as it's fading out, Michael is just trying to shove all this advice at her all at once.
Oh, God.
Which just leads you to believe, is this truly a memory?
Yeah.
Or is this, it happens right after you make the choice to go in the portal or to seal yourself in. So it's very possible that this is like, a manifestation of Michael that's just as real as any of the kids and the ghosts that's, speaking to you.
Yeah, and I personally accept if authors give us an ending and say like it is, it's your call if you want to decide if you think that she got out or not. I mean, I think that can be a cop out, but I think in this game there's enough groundwork laid that you can kind of make that decision for how you've played your character.
Sure.
A touch that I really liked with the idea of every version of the game played, every time you reset the timeline, is another instance of that. Did you guys play while like connected to the internet?
Yes.
I played while connected to the internet. I don't remember anything.
Did you?
I mean, I got the thing like 55% of players like.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
There's three instances where you're in front of a mirror.
And
you talk to a reflection of Alex. If you look carefully, the first time you go through it and you're on the receiving end, there are three people. You see three different gamer tags.
I kept getting Matt.
It might have been because we were friends, or no, because you were playing on my account. So
no, but it was like my name.
At the very end, it will say when you seal up the hole, you talk to Michael. It's either before or after you talk to Michael, but after you seal the hole, you visit this station that Clarice is in, the lake, and then the Adler house.
Yeah.
Then you see the name over top, and you go and you talk to a reflection of Alex who doesn't have a tag over her head.
Sure.
And then whatever you choose is then featured in someone else's game.
Okay.
And then if you go in the credits, I have a screenshot of mine that I took. It actually features the three people that were in your game as, being part of the experience.
I think I just got Matt all three times because he was the only like Steam friend I had that has played the game. Like,
I'm the only Steam friend you have. Period.
Only friend.
You loser.
Why is this? Just turned on me so quickly.
I wasn't sure what that was. I think I only got my name.
The three people that I was playing on PlayStation. I don't know who they are.
Maybe that might be different then, because if I don't have any friends that played it. On Steam.
because each time it was Matt for me, and I assume that's just because no other Steam friend I have owns Oxenfree.
Yeah, that might be. It might be through a friend network.
Well, no, I know that I have friends that played Oxenfree. Funny story though, off topic, especially because like he's playing on the computer. No, but I was watching Frank play it. I was like harassing him and made him play it. You might have been in video or
Frank is a friend of ours for
yeah. Yeah.
He's just some guy we pulled off
He's
the
a guy.
streets.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, just a dude. But just listening to his reactions as shit was happening, because he was streaming it for me. Like, the first time you walk out of the station and a chair comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Or, like, you're kicking the ball, you're going through time loops, just him, like, freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, this is so satisfying.
Yeah, I really do like the flavor of horror in
Yeah,
this game.
it's not that it's scary. It just feels kind of like dull and like not dull and like this, but like your mind is dulled.
Yeah,
and you're like you can't really get a handle on it.
It feels like you're looking at everything through like a haze.
Right. The fact that it does it so well is it's so neat.
I mean, I think it still starts to get a little sloggy in terms of all the walking around you do by the end of the game.
Yeah, you move a little slow.
It wasn't as bad as Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, where
yes,
yeah,
I
that
gotta
was.
play Everyone's Gone to the Rapture.
I have to give it another shot. The walking was too slow, and I got like 3/4 of the way through.
There's a sprint button, but it only starts working after you hold it for a while.
We can play that for the podcast.
Yeah.
But
I feel like every episode we have at least one mention of we should play that for the podcast.
Let's play GTA 5 for the podcast.
Anyway.
God damn it.
Yeah, where were we?
Walking speed.
Frank, walking speed.
Oh yeah, no, the brand of horror. I really like that. Yes, there's creepy, reality shifting, paranormal entities.
Some SCP
God,
shit.
yeah, no, I can really like jerk myself off to that one. But just like the tiny things, like you walk out and that chair wasn't there before.
Yeah.
Why we're going through a time loop? Why is there a campfire that's lit now?
Yeah.
Kicking a ball and then the ball starts kicking itself, like little things.
Oh yeah, like it uses settings in a weird way, like that campfire thing you mentioned, where you have to go all the way back to get the boat keys, and then like suddenly at the front area there's just a campfire, and like you're having a conversation that you had at the last campfire, but that didn't happen
now,
here.
oh yeah, now you're in a
it's so
parking lot.
dreamy.
Yeah.
But I was referring to right before you talked to the first reflection of Alex.
Yeah, right. There's by the
tent where
Yeah.
like I don't think there's any sign of a campfire, and then you go by again and it's like what?
Yeah.
But it's more like the little things that. It's like moving all of your furniture 5 centimeters to the left, and everything just seems wrong.
Sure, yeah, and that's
It's
like
more upsetting than.
Yeah, it's a very unsettling game.
right, and like I think that takes work to pull off. It kind of reminds me of a Kentucky Route Zero, which is another game I would love to visit for the podcast.
I just gotta wait till they release the last episode.
Yeah.
That's my rule. I don't play episodic games until they're all out.
Yeah, I played, I think, up to either the second to last or the last one that they released, and then my MacBook died on me, so I've just been dying to play it.
The point being that there's a weird like trend of like surreal like conversation based games.
Yeah,
Which
I'm
I
trying
love.
to think of the word. It's not surreal. Maybe
I would say
it
it's
is.
surreal, but it's uncanny.
Maybe? I don't know, but it's such an abstract thing that they've managed to pull off so well.
I'm just
Yeah, right.
saying, there's a reason I think Twin Peaks is one of the most influential shows of all time, and it's because you see
Oh man, we have to watch that for the podcast.
You think that? Yeah.
you see, yeah. Right?
Where's Twin Peaks the video game for the podcast?
I actually do have like
A
an
Telltale
Atari
series.
like style Twin Peaks game.
I can't wait for the Telltale version.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see an amount of Twin Peaks in here.
Right. I mean, not necessarily like the flavor of the town and everything. I mean, although there's that too, but just the David Lynch's ability to cast dreams as reflections of reality that are upsetting to you in ways that you don't really know how to pin down.
Yeah.
But more on that another time.
So, question for you guys: what do you think about all the collectible stuff? Because that was kind of like making me a little grumbly, especially towards the end.
It was crazy tedious.
Yeah.
Some of I haven't done those in a year, but I liked some of the radio transmissions that you can find. God, I can't think of the one off the top of my head.
Well, they have some really good like creepy ones, and they have some that like you hear like the NATO alphabet and they spell out things and stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
There's Morse code that I could.
Yeah, there's Morse code, but I was like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, the ones where they're like,
I'm not a sea captain. I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah.
turn on the whatever they spell out light for the ships coming home. You go to the lighthouse and there's an Adler letter there.
Yeah.
If you collect all the Adler letters, it actually unlocks conversation options to have with the ghosts. If you choose not to go through the portal.
Oh, interesting.
To try kind of put their souls at peace.
Yeah, but like the Adler letters come at such a weird time.
Yeah, they come like when you're at the end of the game, and it's just like, by the way, like, don't you want to stay here and like look for stuff? And I'm like,
yeah. Do you want to backtrack across this entire island
I think
at a walking speed?
They probably want to leave. I figure.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like between those and the little like
totems.
totems you have to like tune in. Yeah, it's just
those I like because there was something just like weird about them.
Yeah,
Adler letters was a little bit like, all right. Like,
it was the Adler letters were.
Woman's been scattering, notes around.
But they explain the nature of the ghosts.
I like them from like a lore standpoint.
Yeah, and then the rocks are just the spirits fucking with Alex.
Yeah, I like them. It was just that implementation was a little like clunky.
Yeah, and it's just weird because it seems like such important story stuff to be tied to.
Right, and I think my guess is it was because like the game plays so like narratively like beat to beat that you don't really get a chance to actually like explore the pseudo open world.
Yeah, and it's weird that it's open world because it's so like it's weird because it's not like a traditional open world game, but it runs those open world problems where it's like, oh, have you considered going off to explore this other thing? And like basically the minute things go wrong, you are constantly worried for like the well-being of at least one person in your party, and you're like,
so you shouldn't.
I don't want to stop saving them to.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like my justification in my head was like Alex would go on this scavenger hunt once she's like got everything set up, because like she knows that the ghosts are going to do something weird, and she wants to be like as prepared as possible.
Well, I love that.
Like
I love that you can, when talking to Nona, Ren, Jonas, whoever you choose to take on that, you can be like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this," or "No, that's stupid. Let's just go."
Yeah.
But hold on, I found the one that I really liked. The island is famously named after Colonel Caleb Edwards for his glorious and triumphant slaughtering of countless families during one of the great ethnic cleansings of the 20th century. The forceful removal of ignorant people to make space for destined holders is a time-honored tradition in our still young country. You will be a part of that heritage, Alex. Do not resist. It will be over soon.
That's a very like Indian burial grounds kind of angle to take with it, huh?
Yeah, I also just like the general aesthetic of the radio stuff.
Oh yeah, everything looks and feels really nice.
Well, I mean, like aesthetic and just like a vibe, like the weird things you can tune into on the radio while like just wandering around, and
it's the medium in which you can converse and interact with the abnormalities of the island,
as well as just like do normal things.
Right? Yeah, it's like a great. I mean, it gets a little frustrating at the end when you get like a full 100 channels to like browse through, and
that takes a little while.
Hold on, just gotta scroll through my entire
thing. Oh, did you not
thing.
play it with the controller?
No.
Oh, it's so much better with a controller.
Oh, okay.
I hated controlling it with a mouse.
Yeah, well.
I could not imagine controlling it with a mouse.
You gotta like literally like swipe.
Yeah.
And it's just like really clunky. Yeah, I should have told you. I forgot to. Okay, so two questions.
That's the scariest part of the game. Holy shit.
Jared, you should have come to me. So did you have a conversation with the ghost? Because Lollie, you were saying you can really only have, from what I understand, you can only have the conversations with the ghosts where you like talk like really honestly about the anger that they feel and how you feel the same way. Did you have that conversation?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was like you had to get all the letters first to do that or whatever.
I think you have to get a certain amount of letters to actually connect with them.
Okay.
Because Maggie Adler and Anna had collected information on the not the survivors, on the victims.
Gotcha.
And they talk about how they forgot their names, they forgot their faces, they've lost their identities. So in reminding them of who they once were,
you can tap into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I called one person by name, but then it didn't seem like they were particularly like.
That was that was a moment when I was like, I wonder like what Jared would think of this, because like it felt like a very
I thought that
moment to.
I thought that was neat, but it was also neat in a way that doesn't compromise on the horror. Like,
right.
There's this thing like with horror things that also try to be sentimental, where they like don't know how to transition tones.
Right.
But like it never lets up on the chaos, but it's like this moment of like
quiet connection.
Yeah, just like a hey, it's gonna be okay.
Right.
And also just a moment of growth for Alex, like being smart enough to say like hey,
let go of this.
Yeah.
Don't let it hold you back. And that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is that it's one of my favorite moments that I had in the game. Was when, Alex is telling them, like, this isn't who you are. You have to let this go. You have to let yourselves go. And then they're like, oh shit, what was it that they said? It was like, we have our nature, you have yours, you can't change us.
Yes.
And then Alex just boned.
It was a very touching moment for me. Brought a tear to my eye, which doesn't happen frequently.
Crusty, unsentimental bastard.
I'm crusty because I don't shower. It's a different thing.
Gross.
Okay, and so then my second question.
That tear was the closest he came to showering in a while.
I'm completely filthy. So neither of you guys got New Game Plus?
No.
Not yet, no.
So do you want me to talk about it, or?
Yeah, I think it's
can.
worth discussing.
Okay, so in New Game Plus, what happens is so the game, explicitly being about loops, once it ends, you can continue the timeline instead of like starting a new game. And so there are like some different things that happens. The ghosts are a little bit more aggressive, it looked like. Like there are more like weird visual artifacts that pop up, and some conversations are different. Alex can kind of have a comprehension that she's done this before, but in a very hazy way. But there's a moment where you find a radio and you can actually use it to in a loop, you can use it to call like backwards. And if you do that, and if you choose the right thing, which is like, Alex, don't come to the island, because you can say like a couple of different things, and I think not all of them work. It actually unlocks a different ending where you, Ren, and Jonas are all hanging out in like a gas station, and you're like waiting for Ren's sister to come so she can buy you guys alcohol so you can go out onto to the island.
Yeah.
And then like Ren does the thing like he does in the beginning of the game where he's like, oh, like tune into this radio station so you can hear, and like they do, and like you get Alex's message, and like they're just like, no, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then Ren's like, you guys just like want to watch a movie instead? and so you do that, and I like ostensibly that's the way that you escape and like actually escape.
Mm-hmm.
That just kind of leaves me like, Nona and Clarissa were already on the island.
Well, so that's the thing, right? And that's the part that I'm still like trying to grapple with. So like if that's the case, like where does that leave the vestiges of Nona and Clarissa?
Is that only a New Game Plus thing you can do? Or?
Yeah, you have to have played the game.
Like,
it was patched in later too.
You do when you start a New Game Plus, because they got like up until I think you climb over the dumpster and into the beach part. You actually you tune in the radio, like Ren said, and you start to hear a message from Alex, and it gets cut off, and you can be like, "Oh, is that me? Or did you guys hear that?"
Yeah.
So, and that's interesting that you said that you can find another radio, because I was wondering, because when you find the wall radio, it specifically says that there are 2 of them.
Yeah.
But you only have the one, so I was wondering what
yeah,
happened.
I don't remember
radio.
where it is. I think it happens in a loop, which is how you can break out of like the time bubble, so to speak. So it happens at some point when the ghosts are like messing with things.
Sure.
But I mean that's interesting. I don't know if I prefer it to the ending. I mean, we already were saying like we're not sure where we think the ending leaves us emotionally.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that leaves me emotionally either.
Which I think is very fitting for the game as a whole. Like the whole game is unsettling, and
it doesn't want you to have like easy answers, I think, which is nice.
I mean, that's why I personally love horror and, surreal stuff like this, is because I don't want to feel comfortable in everything all the time.
It's a great vehicle for, like, tapping into those emotions in humans.
Yeah, I guess so.
Where we...
Oh, wait. If you don't go to the island, then Clarissa and Nona don't have the radio, so they can't...
They can't. They're stuck there.
Well, no, they don't.
But
they can't
tap into it.
Yeah, they can't.
Oh, true. Well, they wouldn't have done it anyway, right? Because they were just sitting out on the beach.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm still not convinced.
I definitely am a little bit more settled, because my survivor's guilt of, oh my God, Jonas.
Oh yeah, my Alex had so much survivor's guilt.
Yeah, I felt so bad. I was like, this can't be real, but like they really try to sell you on the bit where Ren quote unquote dies.
Yeah. And
I'm like, no, please don't do that.
Well, and so that's what the reality is that like Ren does die. It's just like one of the instances.
Sure.
No, and I really loved how the way that they repeated it. Where it's like, no, what the fuck happened? And she's like, he fell, and then it reverses, and she's like, he drowned, and then it reverses again. He's just laying there, and she's like, I don't know, he just stopped.
Yeah.
And like the way that she says that he just stopped was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
Definitely one of my favorite moments.
I resonate with it a lot.
Yeah. I don't resonate with it as much as some other like staples of mine, but like it's really neat. Yeah, it's.
I definitely have a huge soft spot in my heart
Sure.
just because of
How personal it is.
just how personal and a matter of circumstance that just how the pieces fell into place
Sure.
the way that they did, because I was looking forward to this game back in 2015 and then found out, oh shit, I don't have an Xbox or a PC. How am I going to play this?
Yeah.
And then just resolved myself to not playing it until, I ended up being able to when I needed it most.
Yeah. Soundtrack is really good too.
It is. Really
I always
good.
feel compelled to make a shout out for the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's made by Scientific. I listen to it
It's
almost
actually,
every
it's
night.
actually
Skinfic. Yeah, no, I listen to it like all the time, like for bed, shower.
I feel like I would get disconcerted if I was listening to that soundtrack.
Well, yeah, I know. There are some more like Carpenter tracks that are just like the pulsing.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can't even say anything because all 4 years of high school, I fell asleep to all the Silent Hill soundtracks. So
certainly says something.
Yeah, no, I've definitely gotten some weird looks for that one.
I used to get nightmares in bed because I would have the Clock Tower soundtrack playing in my head, and I would like get sleep paralysis.
You guys
But
are weird. Just listen to real music.
I didn't listen to it. It was just like in my head.
Listen, there's nothing. Listen to Dead Monks on the Silent Hill Homecoming soundtrack. It's the only one that I can't listen to because it just is.
It's too unsettling.
It's the slurping. The slurping gets me. It gets me really, really uncomfortable.
It's just the monks they're into ASMR. All right, so I mean,
Yeah, so
anybody have any other thoughts you want to add to?
No, it's a neat game. Check it out if you like being sad or horror or both.
And maybe a little hopeful. There's like a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
If you like being trapped in an infinite time loop, this game is definitely for you.
Yeah, listening to teens like do drugs.
Yeah, if you ever.
I mean,
like,
it's only Ren.
if
If,
you're-
you like listening to Teen Do Drug.
Yeah, teen do drugs.
if you're someone like me who gets a kick out of well executed teen angst, like
Yes.
this is it. Like there's not a single cringeworthy line of dialogue in here. I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's all very. I mean, it's cringeworthy, but because they're teens.
Sure, but not because it's like
like,
I've
this is an
never
adult
heard what a
saying
teen
it. Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just really love this game, and I can't express how much I love it.
it's a great game.
I
It's
my
literally
it's my
have
phone
a
background.
I have a.
Well, you can't see it because it's a podcast, but
It's just a triangle. That could be anything.
well, look, it's a triangle with the 3 triangles
All right.
and the
bought,
2 kids.
I bought the fucking limited run copy of it, so I have a physical copy of the game. I bought the bundle that had all of the icons and the PlayStation 4 theme.
Do you have a
went
Nope shirt?
working on it.
You gotta get that.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's gonna do it for us. We'll be back next week with Sorry, let me review the list real quick.
Oh yeah, the Human Centipede, the PSVR experience.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's gonna be a doozy, guys.
Yeah,
I've been looking forward to this game for a while.
Eat poop and poop eat.
that's not what I was.
That's exactly what the Human Centipede is about.
Just
Anyway, this has been Press Have to Discuss. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I'm Matthew.
I'm Jared.
I'm Lollie.
And just remember, it's the Dark Souls of podcasts.
Jesus Christ.